What if the real key to changing the world wasn't some huge political movement, but a quiet, personal virtue? Today, we're digging into the surprising power of Christian humility. Is it just a feeling you keep to yourself, or could it actually be a force that reshapes our public lives? So, which one is it? Is humility something that happens inside, in the quiet of your own heart, or is it a public virtue, something that actually demands you go out and do something? This isn't just a theological thought experiment. It's a real clash between centuries of spiritual wisdom and, believe it or not, some of the sharpest political thinkers of our time. So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at the traditional idea of humility. Then we'll bring in Hannah Arendt, a philosopher who really threw a wrench in the works. We'll explore her big critique, this idea of a Christian contempt for the world. And then we'll see if we can actually build a bridge between these two very different ideas. Okay, let's dive in, starting with the classic view of meekness. We're going to rewind the clock a bit, back to the late medieval world, where humility was like the foundation for every other virtue. But here's the thing that might surprise you. This kind of humility wasn't about hating yourself or thinking you're worthless. Not at all. It was actually about radical self-awareness. It was about taking a good, honest look in the mirror and just admitting your limits, your needs, and your reliance on something way bigger than yourself. It's basically step one to gaining any real wisdom. And this idea goes way, way back. Thinkers like St. Augustine were convinced that the journey toward God has to start from within. By looking inward, by reflecting on that image of God inside our own minds, we kickstart this whole path of self-discovery. And that, right there, is the heart of humility. So let's be super clear on this. Meekness is not weakness. It's the exact opposite. It's an active, courageous choice to say, hey, I have limits. And when you do that, you suddenly make room for growth, for learning, for guidance. It's having the guts to say, I don't have all the answers, but man, am I ready to learn. Okay, but what if this whole inward focus is actually a massive problem? Well, this is where Hannah Arendt comes in. She was a philosopher who basically looked at this entire tradition and said, hold on a second. She had a completely different idea of what it means to be truly human. Have you ever felt like you're kind of just a spectator in your own life, just watching things happen? Well, for Arendt, that was a huge red flag. She argued that we can only become fully human when we actually step into the public arena, when we speak, when we act, and when we take real responsibility for the world we all share. She even had a name for it, the vita acta, which is just Latin for the active life. And look, this isn't just about being busy for the sake of it. It's about participating in a meaningful way, making a difference in your community. For Arendt, this was absolutely non-negotiable. It's what we're here to do. And what's supposed to fuel this active life? Something she called amor mundi, or simply love of the world. It's this deep, powerful care and active responsibility for our shared home and for each other. It's almost like having a love affair with the world itself. Arendt put it so powerfully herself. She said that no human life, not even a hermit's, is possible without a world that proves other people exist. Even someone living alone in a cave is still connected to the rest of us. We're wired for connection. We absolutely need each other to be whole. And this is where things get really spicy, because Arendt saw a massive conflict between her love of the world and a specific strain of Christian thought that she believes taught the exact opposite. So on one hand, you've got amor mundi, this passionate, active love for the world we live in right now. And on the other, you have what she called contemptus mundi, a contempt or disdain for this world. Arendt basically argued that a big part of the Christian tradition decided this world was just a waiting room for the next one, and that we shouldn't get too attached. So here's Arendt's big problem with that way of thinking. She said it puts quiet contemplation on a pedestal and pushes action to the side. It gets people so focused on the afterlife that they forget to take care of the here and now. And for her, that wasn't just a shame, it was fundamentally anti-political and dangerous. And Arendt had a prime suspect in mind for promoting this view, a hugely influential little book by Thomas à Kempis called The Imitation of Christ. For centuries, this book was basically the ultimate guide on how to detach from worldly concerns and focus only on your inner spiritual life. For Arendt, this book was Exhibit A in her case against contempt for the world. So, are we just stuck? Do we have to choose between a quiet, inward retreat or a life of public action? Or is there maybe a third way? this is where we try to build a bridge. What if humility isn't the enemy of action at all? What if it's actually its greatest ally? Okay, let's walk through this. Step 1. It all starts with true humility, right? Just honestly admitting your own limits. Step 2. That self-knowledge becomes an antidote to what Arendt famously called the banality of evil. She saw it in figures like Adolf Eichmann, arguing his evil wasn't some deep, monstrous thing, but that it was profoundly thoughtless. He just wasn't reflecting on what he was doing. Step 3. A genuinely humble person, by contrast, can act in the world without that dangerous, arrogant certainty that they're always right. And that leads to step 4. All of a sudden, deep humility isn't a retreat from the world. It's the very foundation for better, more thoughtful, more meaningful public action. And this isn't some brand new idea we just cooked up. It's actually deeply rooted in the Christian tradition itself. I mean, just think about the figure of the meek Christ. His meekness wasn't about being a doormat. It was a kind of strength that came from vulnerability, a love that doesn't run from a broken world but actively engages with it. And get this for a plot twist. Remember Thomas à Kempis, the guy who wrote that world-denying book? Well, some thinkers point out that true holiness might not be about escaping the messiness of the world at all. Maybe, just maybe, a true saint is someone who is willing to roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty right here, to help those who need it. It's about courageous engagement, not a pious escape. So where does all this leave us? It seems humility isn't about hiding from the world. It's about learning how to engage with it more wisely and more compassionately. And that really brings us to one last big question. If humility really is the starting point, what kind of world could we build together?